Yes, I think we are on. Hello, everyone. I'm greeting you from a very rainy Ankara. I hope that our connection will stay as good as it is right now. Welcome to this online lecture hosted by the British Institute at Ankara. My name is Işılay Gürsu, and some of you might be already familiar with me because I have been affiliated with the BIAA since 2013 as a postdoc fellow. And very recently, I have been appointed as the Assistant Director for Cultural Heritage. So I will be introducing our cultural heritage related talks from now on. Couple of reminders, please feel free to introduce yourselves on the chat and let us know where you're joining from for today's event. And you can ask your questions throughout the event using the Q&A session. We will be getting to them at the end of the lecture. And also we remind you that the lecture is being recorded and also live streamed on YouTube. It is my great pleasure and honor to introduce tonight's speaker, Dr. Gül Pulhan. Dr. Pulhan is the person for me who has introduced me to the world of heritage because she was my supervisor at Koç University's MA program, then called Anatolian Civilizations and Cultural Heritage Management. And then I had the enormous luxury to work with her, especially within the Safeguarding Archaeological and Archaeological Assets of Turkey, SARAT Project, which you will be hearing more tonight. So Dr. Gül Pulhan is a Near Eastern archaeologist with experience in cultural heritage management and museum studies. Since 2016, she has been affiliated with the BIAA in different capacities as a member of Council of Management, coordinator of the UK Cultural Protection Fund supported SARAT and its follow-up SARAT projects, and as an honorary research fellow. She was among the founding faculty members of the Department of Archaeology and History of Art at Koç University. And between 2009 and 2019, she conducted salvage excavations at Gramer, Batman in southeastern Turkey. She holds a PhD in Ancient Near Eastern Archaeology from Yale University, MA from Istanbul University, and a BA in History from Boğaziçi University. We are very much looking forward to hearing this evening's talk titled From Theory to Practice, How Sarat Graduates Apply Their New Knowledge to Their Lives. Floor or screen is yours.
Screen is mine, yes, yes. Thank you so much, Işılay. This is really a great pleasure for me. Not only, to be introduced by you, but again, to have a chance to talk about a wonderful project that we all together did and successfully completed. And when we look back, we actually started the project 5 years ago. It's unbelievable how time is going. I have lots of things to say tonight, so without further ado, I'll try to share my screen. Okay, I think everybody is seeing it and hearing me well. Okay, well, a very warm welcome to everybody who is with us tonight. Tonight, I am going to talk about a particular part of the SARAT project, which about a minute I'm going to explain. But giving a little bit of explanation, as I was just saying, that we conducted the Safeguarding Archaeological Assets of Turkey between 2017 and 2020. Last year, we had another chance, another small project from the United Kingdom's Cultural Protection Fund, which was also the agency that financed the support project, to expand the online course component of the SARAT project to Lebanon and also translate what we have done in the SARAT course into English and Arabic. While we were doing that, we also thought that it would have been a very good idea to go back to the graduates of the SARAT course. And while we are preparing the new SARAT course for Lebanon, also show the experiences or benefit from the experiences and achievements of the SARAT graduates in Turkey. So in a way, not only SARAT and SARA SARA inherited what SARAT did, but while we were doing SARA in Lebanon, safeguarding and rescuing archaeological assets, we were also able to go back and do a bit more work related to SARAT in Turkey. Now, a bit of institutional background. SARAT, Safeguarding Archaeological Assets of Turkey, was a project, as I said, that was supported by the United Kingdom's Cultural Protection Fund and administered by the British Council. And the project was a collaboration under the leadership of British Institute at Ankara and Anatolian Civilizations Research Institute of Koç University in Istanbul, and ICOM UK, the International Committee of Museums United Kingdom branch. It was a 3-year project, a large grant, and we undertook it between 2017 and 2020. On the left of my screen, you see the directors, leaders of 3 institutions that made SARAT together. Dr. Lutgarde van der Put, the director of British Institute at Ankara. In the middle, Professor Christina Luke from Koç University's Archaeology and History of Art department, but at the same time represented ANAMED Research Institute at SARAT Project. And on the right of my screen, on the right picture, is Tonya Nelson. Not anymore, but then she was the president of ICOM UK, and so represented ICOM UK at the SARAT project. And on the right of the picture, you are seeing the great local team of the SARAT project. So it was a very internationally envisioned and administered project. But the whole thing was run by a Turkish local team in Turkey, including myself. Now, last year, we had a great chance of expanding the online course component of SARAT, this time into Lebanon, because we thought, as I am going to explain in the coming moments of this lecture, that the course that we developed in Turkey for heritage emergencies and a general understanding of cultural heritage was really something useful and attracted lots of people for their capacity building, their professional development, and overall for a general awareness. And when we were designing and developing SARAT project, we always thought that what we did for Turkey, or what we planned and accomplished for Turkey, could have been a good model for other countries, especially our neighbors and Middle Eastern countries that are dealing with similar issues. I mean, having similar archaeological and cultural richness and resources, but at the same time struggling similar problems of safeguarding, protection, general lack of awareness, etc. So then Lebanon became our chance to do this, hopefully, first expansion of SARAT, that we are hoping to do a similar thing in other places, in other countries too, if possible. And for the SARAT project, British Institute at Ankara partnered with a cultural heritage NGO named Biladi in Lebanon. In the middle picture, you see myself and Joanne Farshah, the founder and director of Biladi. And again, with a large team of people, we were able to adapt the SARAT course into Lebanon. And we only had 6 months, a very short time, but we were able to complete the whole translation and adaptation project with a wonderful 3-day training with the faculty members, army members, antiquities department members, and did a quick sort of go over of the whole course and its concepts and its aims, so that from then on, all of these very accomplished trainers can take the course material and do their own teaching and implementation and so on. As I said, while we were doing this, we also wanted to get in touch with the Sarat graduates and ask them 2 years on what they have done with the knowledge that they acquired in the course. But before going into that, I just want to give you in a nutshell what was the SARAT project was all about. SARAT project did various, activities, programs, but all of them were actually built on certain goals and a certain philosophy. Of course, we aim to increase capacity in human resources. We wanted to, and we aim to increase knowledge and appreciation, raise public awareness, and while doing all of these things, we wanted to promote scientific value of archaeological assets and the importance of protecting archaeological record in its entirety, without making classifications like, movable, immovable, whether it's a site registered or is it a World Heritage, is it from this period, is it from that period, but we believed that, and we are believing that, all of the archaeological record is invaluable, human source for our past, and all of it needs to be protected and cared with the same, attention and importance and so on. In a way, we can, describe this also as a holistic approach. So our holistic approach in this project was first of all towards people. So yes, we targeted professional people, working in the area of cultural heritage, but we also did other activities that included more general public. But as I said, our holistic approach also was towards the archaeological assets themselves and towards their protection. So, we wanted to give this idea, to transfer this idea that, we need to protect all of these things without worrying about how important they are, or, how much presentable they are or how much excavated they are, and so on. And in all of these efforts, of course, in a way, we are looking for a long-term change and change of mentalities, which is obviously not sometimes very easy to measure or very easy to document the impact in a short time, especially during the project time. So this is why, you know, what we were able to do after 2 years with some of our graduates was an incredible opportunity to follow up a project. This is not even a long term, but even, you know, 2 years can tell a lot about how all this learning, you know, impacting people's careers, lives, and, you know, archaeological assets. Again, I want to give a little bit of background about the time period that we have been first, you know, thinking and designing, and then developing the SARAT project, but particularly the online teaching program of the SARAT project on rescuing, you know, safeguarding and rescuing archaeological assets, and why also Cultural Protection Fund, in a sense, came into being, and why there was so much, you know, emphasis on protection, and especially emphasis on protection during, you know, conflict times and, you know, times of instability. Because I took it from a couple of years ago, but the year 2014 was very dramatic in the Middle East because of, you know, ISIS's, you know, control over Syria and then Iraq, and kind of symbolic thing, the fall of Mosul. These events followed with a lot of civil unrest in, you know, some southeastern cities of Turkey, which was also then followed by trench warfares between PKK and the, you know, military in Turkey, which caused curfews, evacuations. In the middle picture here, you see late Tahir Elçi, the chair of Diyarbakır Bar Council, who was killed when he was reading a press release on the importance of protecting cultural heritage in times of conflict. This was in November 2015. And then there were, again, Islamic State-related suicide bombers and truck bombs in various cities of Turkey, you know, east, west, Ankara, everywhere. You know, there were attacks in touristic places of Istanbul, you know, Sultanahmet Square, İstiklal Caddesi in Beyoğlu. And then while we were writing the SARAT application, Turkey went through a you know, a failed coup attempt, and then immediately there was a state of emergency rule in Turkey. Actually, the 2 years of the project we were conducting, Turkey was under the state of emergency. And when you look at the Middle East, you know, it's, you know, Syria, Iraq, you know, these are, you know, iconic destructions that everyone is aware of. So the cultural heritage community needed to respond to these crises. You know, the losses were incredible and irreversible, but you know, something needed to be done. So one of the results is this. Right now, probably not so new, but when we were talking about this risk management for cultural heritage and first aid to cultural heritage in times of crisis, it was an emerging field. It was quite a new field. Some institutions took leadership roles in how to manage risk for cultural heritage. So ICOM in Rome was one of these institutions. Smithsonian Institution in the United States, another one. These projects were supported by institutions like Prince Claus Foundation in Netherlands and so on. But a program was developing in terms of how to manage, disasters and risks caused both by natural reasons, but also man-made, and especially armed conflict related reasons. And in our safeguarding and rescuing archaeological assets online certificate program that we developed all together, BIAA, Koç University, and ICOM UK, with tons of people involved in making it happen. Really, we took that model that was developed by ICOM. So, in these 3 phases, what can you do before a disaster and emergency situation? How can you prepare your institution or site? What do you do during it, and what do you do afterwards? But we thought for Turkey, just dealing with the risk management alone for cultural heritage would attract a limited community, and then we thought, if we enrich this course with some general introduction to archaeological assets, their importance, their meanings, the threats that they are facing, but at the same time, the institutions working for their, both protection and, promotion and appreciation. Similarly, the, legal mechanisms, international conventions, protecting. So we wanted to make this kind of a general introduction, and then talk about the details of the disaster, stages, and how to deal with it, these emergency stages. And onto this, we added some practical skills part, because this was going to be an online education, just like this conference lecture right now. So we wanted to give a bit of a practical knowledge as well, since we were not doing exercises or similar things with our participants. And we also wanted it to make a tailor-made program, and I think that's one of the reasons, looking back now, why it made the program interesting and attractive, but also successful in terms of its results. So we put a final part related to Turkey. So what are the archaeological assets of Turkey? And UNESCO World Heritage is a great interest in Turkey. So we, devoted 3 courses on UNESCO World Heritage and Turkey, looking at different aspects of it. And we concluded the whole course with the results of an opinion poll that we also conducted as part of the SARAT project on the understanding of archaeology and society in Turkey. And, all these courses were also enriched with interviews with national and international scholars, experts, telling different projects, giving different examples related to the topic they are involved. Now, this Safeguarding and Rescuing Archaeological Assets course is a true pioneer in Turkey, not only in terms of what it covered in its content, but in terms of how it's delivered, really. So, as I said, it was a real cooperation and also a learning process, I must say, between three institutions. The course has been accredited by Koç University, and the successful participants who did the whole course received a certificate from Koç University. Our target audience for this course were the professionals and professionals to be, working in the larger heritage area. We did the online delivery was done with pre-recorded videos, and in the picture on the right of my screen, you see me. I was the one instructed the whole course. You see me during a recording session at Koç University's studio. The whole thing was free of charge and in Turkish. Again, I think these two aspects contributed a lot to the success of this program. It was 20 episodes. We run it in 2 months terms, and we also implemented an application and selection procedure, because we wanted really interested professionals to take part in this, really precious project time and in the course. And when I look at the results now, which again I'm going to share with you in the coming minutes, it seems like this application and selection procedure worked really well towards the success of this online program. During the project time, SARAT project time, we received 8,327 applications to this program. We offered places to 5,512 people, and among these people, 3,809 people graduated. Again, during the SARAT project time, we offered the program 4 times, so 4 2-month periods in 2 4-month terms in the year 2019. But we were very lucky, very blessed. The interest was there, and Koç University was very generous. So after the completion of the SARAT project, between 2020 and 2021, under Koç University's auspices, we did 3 more terms. So then, our total in these 7 terms was, in terms of graduates, nearly 5,500. And 64% of these graduates were professionals, and 36% of them were mainly, in English terms, postgraduate in American English graduate students, and a little bit of university 3rd, 4th year senior students. And because it was online, it reached out to the whole world, basically. As you can see that 31, people who obviously can speak and understand Turkish, or Turkish people living in 31 different countries also enrolled and graduated from the course. Now, when I looked at a recent Cultural Protection Fund report, evaluating the projects in countries, including Turkey, I saw, we knew our numbers were good. We had reached out thousands of people, but it is recognized in this report that SARAT Project single-handedly trained a quarter of the whole trained people in 12 countries during the 2017-2020 round of the Cultural Protection Fund. Now, about the survey with our graduate students, with our graduates that we have done at the end of last year. So this survey was a completely in-house work. So, we sat down and, developed the questions. We realized that our time was very short, so we couldn't, reaching out to every graduate and analyzing their questionnaire would have been beyond our capacity during the shorter SARAT project. So we decided to choose a sample group. Özlem Başdoğan, who was a cultural heritage and also organization and communication person for the SARAT and the SARAT project, sat down and read all of the 8,000 plus applications because she wanted to see the motivations that people wrote when they were applying to the SARAT course. And then, of course, she cross-checked their, graduation status, etc. And in the end, Özlem chose 493 people to send the questionnaire. I prepared most of the questions with Özlem's help, but just to have a professional eye, we consulted our colleague and friend Ali Karakaç at Konda Research Company. So, he quickly read the questions and made a couple of valuable remarks to me. And then we set up a Survey Monkey and send the questions. And before sending the questions, we send a letter to our graduates and told them that we were about to contact them with some questions. Many of the graduates, easily responded, but when Özlem didn't hear from some people, she called them one by one and invited them again to fill the questionnaire. So with her efforts, in the end, and we didn't have much time really for all of this, 304 people responded to the questionnaire. That is about 62% of the sample, which, as I understand, in the survey works, in poll works, is a very, very good rate. And then Işılay Gürsoy, this is a picture from a few years ago, so she has longer hair here. So the two of them sat down and read the answers, and among the answers they created a short list that is describing in a way more concrete results, more concrete works, accomplishments that were achieved based on the learning from the SARAT's online course. And we call this best practices. And we also wanted to make a film with these people. We wanted them to tell in their own words what they have done, how they, implemented all this theoretical coursework into practice. And our target was, of course, also making this film ready to be shown during the training in Lebanon, which we were able to do it with a lot of rush. So, so I am going to show that film at the end of this talk. But here you are seeing, a couple of photographs when Özlem and Işılay were busy interviewing together with Ekin Kozal, our camera video person. They did filming in Istanbul, Ankara, and Izmir. if we had more time, we would have done, you know, many more interviews, you know, and be able to show you visually the very different, you know, implementations and accomplishments of the SARAT graduates. Before the film, obviously, what I wanted to talk tonight very quickly, what kind of questions we asked and what kind of answers we received from the SARAT graduates, and what did they do really with all the information, with all that teaching that they were exposed for 2 years. Our questionnaire had a total of 22 questions. Some of them were, you know, information-related things about emails and so on. Some of them were, you know, suggestions for the future, or if we do another course, what would they have preferred, etc. But tonight I'm going to focus on the things that were related to their, you know, practice at work. One of our questions were whether they were currently employed when we sent the questionnaire. And as you see here, 75, almost 76% of the sample was employed at the time of this questionnaire, which is last November, December, just, you know, like about 6 months ago. Now, who were these SARAT graduates that I keep referring at? The chart you see on the left is an analysis, a sort of institutional or professional division of the SARAT graduates that had applied to the SARAT course when we were doing the project. And what I have written on the right side of my screen are the professional groups or institutions that were represented in our, you know, 300 plus people sample who answered the questionnaire. In the original SARAT project, we had the big majority from the universities, followed by freelancers, including, you know, archaeologists, conservators, architects, restorators, etc., engineers, and the Ministry of Culture and Tourism people, Ministry of Education people, where we mean, you know, elementary school, high school level teachers, you know, people, relevant people from local authorities, from other museums like private and foundation, NGOs, etc. When I look at the people who answered the questionnaire this time, and I'm not giving numbers, but pretty much I put everything into a descending order. Again, majority was from universities and research centers, but on the other hand, local authorities in every part of Turkey actively engaged, and almost in the same number with the you know, academic people. Similarly, we had a very good return from the museum people, and this is both state museum, private museum, and director of national palaces in Turkey. Again, a good number of answers from Ministry of Culture and Tourism employees. These are people working in the central administration, in the cultural tourism directorates, site management directorates, regional conservation labs, boards, etc. NGOs was again well represented with some very interesting NGOs that I put some names for you here. School teachers were there, and you will see that actually they are among the pioneers doing interesting things inspired from the SARAT project. There were people from excavation projects, from other ministries, legal professionals, security forces, people from private sector, media, firefighters, disaster and emergency management, and freelancers. The main difference that hit me here, the difference between the first enrollment and these questionnaire responders, that we had very, very few freelancers this time. This means that either now they are all, they enrolled in a permanent work, or because Özlem took motivation as one of her main criteria by choosing these people, you know, these groups' motivations were, you know, much more solid, much more concrete. But we had very few people in this group describing themselves as freelancers. We asked the question very directly: has there been a change in your life thanks to the SARAT program? And thanks to our graduates, 57.7% said that yes, and 42% said no. Then, of course, we asked, if yes, if there was a change in your life because of the SARAT online program, how would you describe this change, or, you know, this impact? So 44% said that they grew an interest for new fields. 35% described their change as other. Almost 10% stated that they started a new academic program. So it seems like the course's impact on academic area was also very strong. And almost 7% said that you know, they wrote a thesis or an academic article or a paper or a newspaper article or piece. You know, we had other categories as well, as like finding a new job or changing my job, or, you know, getting a new position in the workplace, etc. But these were, you know, or changing sectors. These were much minor efforts. Then we ask what kind of an impact SARAT online course education program have on your career path, and we said that they could you know, choose more than one option or one answer, and you know, a very heavy majority, 80%, said that it increased my level of knowledge in my areas of interest. 68% said that I acquired up-to-date knowledge and practices in my field. Almost 47% said that I became aware of new partnership possibilities with other people and institutions in my field. Almost 30% said that my personal motivation increased to have new experiences in my workplace, my self-confidence boosted, etc. It goes on like that. Then again, we very directly ask, are you implementing or have you implemented what you have acquired from the SARAT program in your profession? And a solid 57% said yes, and almost 43% said no within this 2-year period. And let's not forget that those 2 periods after the completion of the SARAT was also, the whole world was under the, you know, corona pandemic. and pretty much the whole world had stopped. So I think this, 57% is a very valuable percentage for us. Of course, we asked then, so how do you describe this task action that you have implemented? And almost 35% said that this change or innovation that they undertook was something directly linked with archaeological assets and cultural heritage. Almost 22% said that the change or innovation was related to the way they were doing their job. 18% said that it was different than these things that we gave as options to them. 14% said that they had a change and innovation in their career, and almost 11% said that a change, innovation in their workplace. Also, we wanted to see whether these changes are happening individually or as a team or institutionally. So here, what we are understanding is, again, a majority, 53%, doing this change or innovation as an individual action. 21% made recommendation to their institution. Almost 13% did a new work, a new thing as a team action with their colleagues. 8% said that what they did was different, and a bit more than 4% did it as a cooperation of more than one institution. Now, again, I know my time is running out very quickly, but I put some examples of the works actually that came into life, inspired and supported from the knowledge that came from the SARAT course. And there were lots of, museum-related tasks that were taken, and right to the point, development of emergency response plans, recommendations to colleagues in other places, lots of answers related how they made better storage areas in the museums, paying so much more attention to risks and, the quality of the storage areas and safeguarding these areas. Again, development of emergency response plans or risk assessments for the museums, establishment of new museums, and, considering all these things and, carrying out simulations for children. There were very interesting, site-related works, projects that are undertaken, establishment of an open-air museum, cooperation between underwater survey authorities and the museums, documentation of looting damage through drone photographs, safeguarding, developing a safeguarding project with students for a nearby archaeological area. Again, protection projects for an, in situ mosaic find, work plans and official work plans for, transportation and in situ safeguarding of archaeological remains. Lots of academia-related tasks. Many people started new programs, either master's or PhD, or sometimes as a second undergraduate degree. And as I understand, many of our academic participants incorporated the knowledge from SARAT into their own teaching, and they created new courses, new programs related to it. There were, very interesting, awareness points. For example, coming from somebody from media, Some people said that they started dialogue with relevant institutions or increased solidarity among archaeologists. A lot of, transfer of knowledge to colleagues and students, etc. Documentation works and awareness raising works, beginning of writings of books, each one of them is more valuable and more interesting than the other. We also wanted to see if there was something that they thought about doing, hoped about doing, but not accomplished yet. And again, we had a solid 53% yes to this answer. But today I'm not going to go over what those things that people would like to do when they have a chance, because that will require another hour really. So we also wanted to see this change is related to what. So what is nice to see is even the things that are in the planning stage in their people's minds is directly related to cultural heritage and archaeological assets. So this is much more than personal development or career progress, and all those things are very wonderful too. But in both cases, archaeological assets themselves and cultural heritage was the focus of our graduates and what they want to improve. We also asked very briefly if they couldn't do something, if they couldn't put their coursework into practice, what was the reason for that? And the half of the people said that they didn't have a suitable environment to implement the kind of things they wanted to do. Some of them said that their own work scope was insufficient. Only 18%, almost 19% said that the course was too theoretical. Some of them said insufficient resources at the workplace or no support from their institution. SARAT's online programs, strengths and achievements, I think very well overlaps with the CPF's Cultural Protection Fund's stated goals. With the online course on safeguarding and rescuing archaeological assets, we make the enrollment an individual initiative. We use social media to promote the course. Free delivery of a good quality information through a prestigious university's digital education platform made it a very valuable thing to get access to. People appreciated this. And also, again, through online and being free and being in Turkish, this course helped to eliminate geographical, professional, institutional, financial, gender, age, ethnicity, physical ability, social, religious, you name it, all these barriers. So people were equal in front of a screen with a good internet connection, actually. And so it really showed us the existence of a much larger and much more diverse heritage professional community in Turkey than previously known, or we were also not aware of this spectrum. And this last sentence is from our evaluation report. It's a sentence written by Dr. Carol Scott. Participants increasingly energized by the knowledge that they all have a role to play in preserving Turkey's archaeological assets. So I think with all of these outcomes and strengths, we really checked all the three goals of the Cultural Protection Fund. I think now I am stopping and leaving the word to our wonderful graduates who are going to describe their practices in their own words. And if your video playing is a little bit slow, don't worry about it. Later, you can watch it also on YouTube. But you know, through Zoom, I think it may be a bit slow.
SARAT projesi içinde hazırlanan arkeolojik varlıkların korunması ve kurtarılması online sertifika programı gerek içeriği gerekse dili itibariyle, yani Türkçe olması nedeniyle Türkiye'de bir ilktir. Bu anlamda Türkiye'de ve hatta dünyada başka 31 ülkede kültürel miras alanında çalışan ya da bu alanda eğitim gören binlerce kişiye ulaşmıştır. SARAT projesinin tamamlanmasından yaklaşık 2 yıl sonra bu defa SARAT projesi kapsamında dersin içeriğinin İngilizceye ve Arapçaya tercüme edilmesine ek olarak aradan geçen sürede SARAT mezunlarımızın dersle ilgili ne düşündükleri, hayatlarında bu derse dair beklediklerinin, hedeflediklerinin gerçekleşip gerçekleşmediğini sormakla da ilgili bir imkan yakaladık. Ve bir örneklem oluşturduk. Çünkü bütün mezunlarımıza gönderemezdik bu değerlendirme anketini. 493 kişiye temsili anlamda olmak üzere bir değerlendirme anketi gönderdik ve anket sonuçlarında karşılaştığımız şeyler gerçekten bizi çok gururlandırdı, çok mutlu etti ve bu anlamda bir de küçük bir film çekmeye karar verdik.
Gemi inşaat mühendisiyim. Ulaştırma Bakanlığı'nda çalışıyorum. Denizli Tarıma Baş Mühendisliğinde. SARAT projesiyle tanışmam tamamen şans eseri oldu.
Benim için bu serüven aslında Eda öğretmenimin bana gelip ben SARAT isimli bir programa kayıt oldum ve bununla ilgili yapmak istediğim bir proje var dediğinde başladı.
2 yıldır Kültürel Miras Elçileri programını yürütüyorum. Bundan 2 sene önce SARAT projesini sanal ortamda gezerken keşfettim. 2 ay eğitimini aldım 20 saat programıyla. Ve kafamda bir şimşek çaktı. Dedim ki Eda sen bununla bir proje yürütebilirsin. Proje öyle bir büyüdü ki kocaman bir programa döndü.
SARAT projesiyle tanışmam bir arkadaşımın vasıtasıyla oldu. Kendisiyle sohbet ederken online SARAT eğitimine başladığını söyledi ve çok iyi bir eğitim olduğunu ve katılırsam yararlanabileceğimi söyledi. Ben de internetten buldum ve SARAT projesine kaydoldum ve çok zevk alarak, çok yararlanarak bir eğitim süreci yaşadım.
Mesleki anlamda çok değerli bilgiler edindim. Mesleğimin özellikle kültür varlıklarının korunması ve kültür varlıklarındaki acil durumlara müdahale esnasında dikkat etmem gereken bazı ince noktaları, püf noktaları öğrenmiş oldum. Bölgemde bulunan kültür varlıklarına, tarihi eserlere nasıl müdahale edeceğimiz, müdahale ederken dikkat etmemiz gereken hususlar, buradaki kültür varlıklarının ve sanat eserlerinin korunmasıyla alakalı restoratörlerin nasıl tedbirler aldıkları ve bizim müdahale esnasında bunlara nasıl destek olabileceğimizle alakalı bir takım bilgiler edindik. Bölgemizdeki kültür varlıklarıyla ilgili yaptığımız müdahale planlarına daha fazla öncelik verdik ve bu perspektiften baktık. Aynı zamanda kültür varlıklarının gene korunmasıyla ilgili uluslararası kurumlardan haberdar olduk ve kurumların ürettiği raporlara erişim sağladık. Daha önce bu kurumlar kanalıyla yapılan başka ülkelerdeki tatbikatları gördük ve öğrendik. Benzer tatbikatların burada yapılıp yapılamayacağını değerlendiriyoruz. Kültür varlıkları bağlamında geliştireceğimiz müdahale teknik ve taktikleriyle ilgili Türkiye'de hangi kurumlarla iletişim halinde olabileceğimizi öğrendik.
İşimde çok enteresan bir bakış açısı yakalayabildim. O da derinleştirme yaptığımız için bu bir kazı faaliyeti. Kazı faaliyeti esnasında amforalara veya farklı arkeolojik eserlere denk gelebiliyoruz. Bunun müze müdürlüğüne hemen haber verip, bilgilendirip teslim edebiliyoruz.
SARAT projesindeki aldığım eğitimden sonra müzemizde ilk önce bir yangın tatbikatı gerçekleştirdik. Depreme yönelik bazı önlemler aldık. Özellikle sergi salonlarındaki çerçeveli nesneleri duvara sabitleme gibi.
Ankara'da var olan geçmiş döneme ait tüm yaşanmışlıkların korunması, kurtarılması ve geleceğe aktarılması için çalışmalarımızı hızla sürdürüyoruz daire olarak. Ama tüm bu çalışmaları yaparken bilinçli bir şekilde bu sürecin yönetilmesi ve sürdürülebilmesi açısından hizmet içi eğitime önem veriyoruz. Hizmet içi eğitimde önemli adımlarımızdan birisi de İngiliz Arkeoloji Enstitüsü ve Koç Üniversitesi'nin birlikte başlatmış oldukları SARAT projesi. Biz de belediyemizde bu meslek disiplinine uygun arkadaşlarımızdan ve benim de olduğum 6 kişi SARAT programına dahil olduk. Program sertifika programını başarıyla tamamladık. Tamamladıktan sonra da bir adım daha atarak belediyemiz bünyesinde Sayın Başkan'ın onayıyla UNESCO birimimizi oluşturduk.
Gerçekten hem mesleki gelişimime hem de müzedeki ilişkilerime çok fayda sağladı SARAT projesi. Ve hepimizin bildiği gibi arkeologların görevi toprak altından çıkarmak ama onların sonrasındaki korunması, restorasyonu, konservasyonu, sergilenmesine yönelik teknikler, doğal afetler sırasında eserlerimizi daha iyi nasıl koruyabiliriz, onlara nasıl sahip çıkabiliriz, bunlarla ilgili daha fazla neler yapabiliriz, bununla ilgili daha fazla düşünmeye başladık.
Online eğitimlere katıldık. Ben eğitimi tamamladığımda çok muazzam bilgiler edinmiştim. Şu an çalışmalarımızda da yerel yönetim olarak bu farkındalıkla ve SARAT'tan aldığımız eğitimle aslında işimize yansıtıyoruz. Dolayısıyla vatandaşa yansıyan bir dönüşü oldu bu eğitimin. Hepimiz çok mutluyuz.
Şimdi tabii eğitimden sonra biraz daha bakışımız değişti. Yani bu kaçınılmaz olarak ortaya çıktı. Biraz daha bir şeylere müdahale etme ihtiyacı hissetmeye başladı. Bir müzede yeni yapılacak depoların, objelerin saklaması için yapılacak depoların, depo demeyelim de dolapların binaya getireceği yüklemeler hakkında ya da işte ağırlıklar hakkında bir konu. Ortamdaki sıcaklığı sabit tutacak sistemler, şeyler de var. Bu sistemlerin uyumu,
İnanılmaz bir dünya ve bu dünyayı bana açtığı için SARAT projesine çok teşekkür ediyorum. Çünkü benim ikinci kere üniversite öğrencisi olmama da neden oldular.
Bambaşka bir dünya yakaladım arkeolojik eserlerle birlikte.
Bu mesleğe, bu alana ilgi duyan herkese kesinlikle öneririm. Gerçekten eğitim bittiğinde bana katılacaklardır. Bu bağlamda SARAT projesine emeği geçen herkese çok çok teşekkür ederim.
Sesim geliyor mu? Now, yes, SARAT received 2 awards. Obviously, all of the project that tonight I only described you one particular education component of SARAT. So both Europa Nostra Award and the European Archaeological Heritage Prize, we got a second place there, made us very, very proud. And I just want to finish my words by thanking some of the people that I could put their names, on the screen, because a project or even just this online course itself is like an excavation or like a film that actually you see the director and maybe a couple of actors as the faces of the project, but then there is an army of people behind. So it was the same thing for SARAT. So, all together we were able to do this wonderful work, really. But moreover, of course, we did something and put it out there, but the way it was received by the heritage community in Turkey is overwhelming, really, for us, and we are really humbled what they have done with what they have learned from the course, and their warm connection to the project. So I thank you, all of you, for your patience. It was a bit of a dense talk. But if there is any points that I can, explain a bit more, I will be glad to do it.
Thank you so much for this great talk. We have a couple of comments and some questions.
Maybe I'll stop sharing now.
Yeah, I think it would be easier.
That would be better, yes.
So I'm going to read some of them. İhsan Karayazı, İhsan here joining from Boston. I did attend to the online classes of SARAT Project, and as a freelance civil society professional working in the trenches of cultural heritage, I got great benefit out of classes. I'm equipped with a better literacy skill regarding cultural heritage assets and could develop a better understanding of the industry and the processes behind safeguarding projects. Thank you very much, BIAA team and Gül Hoca. So this was in the comments section.
Very nice note. Thank you, İhsan.
And we have some of our graduates actually in the audience. I see Ceyla İnmeler's name, Cihan Odabaşı's name. So they are watching us, and thank you so much for being with us. We have one comment / question in the Q&A from Mesut Ilgım. Another wonderful event today. Many, many thanks. I don't have any specific questions related to this conference, but my question is in general. Although Turkey has one of the richest and most colorful cultural heritages compared to the rest of the world, why do younger people do not show any interest for archaeology when they start with their higher educations? Why do not they choose archaeology? And he adds, by the way, I'm an economist and 80, but archaeology was always my most beloved theme, and I'm still member of the board of Geyre Foundation, which supports the excavations in Aphrodisias since many years. So maybe if you want to say something about why younger generations are not interested in archaeology.
Well, because I guess archaeology is about history and old things. That's why younger generations. But I am optimistic. I mean, choosing archaeology to study and as a career is something else. And maybe job perspectives and so on, not encouraging many young people. But on the other hand, enjoying and appreciating archaeology and, all this heritage that Turkey has, I think younger people today are more luckier than, my generation, for example, because there are so many films, there are so many, videos, books, magazines, lots of educational programs in museums, these sort of, excavation simulation, practices for the students, etc. So I think we should, find the ways to deal with archaeology, not only professionally, but also as a member of the community. I think there is still ways to engage with it. And that's what I would recommend to young people.
Thank you for answering the question. There is one short question from an anonymous attendee. Is it still possible to take the course in English?
Well, the course has never been in English, this online course. When we did it in Turkey, as I said, we did it in Turkish because in this way we could reach to many more people and directly without, struggling with a language barrier. Now, after the extension SARAT project, we have the material in English in our hands, the course material, not as filmed as videos, but we have the PowerPoints and the text that we used in the teaching in English. So in the coming days, at least we will make the material freely available. What I mean is the the PowerPoints and the text. So if our viewer follow the BIAA webpage time to time or SARAT webpage, when it will make available the English version, we will announce it.
There are some thank you comments in the chat box. I don't see any other questions, but I have one.
Yes.
Although I have been involved, but seeing it presented always brings a lot of questions. So one of the things while I was looking at the data, and we had this idea, but we could never do that, was to bring the SARAT graduate community together. And my feeling was that most of the reasons why people could not maybe do more with what they have learned was they kind of felt lonely. So because they were always using it in individual ways, but not like institutional ways, or there was lack of a network. That was my feeling. Would you comment on this? Did I read it right?
Perhaps what you are suggesting has a part in what they have done and what they couldn't do. But as I said, these past 2 years were also very abnormal years. I mean, you know, universities closed, museums closed, everything was closed. So to me, it is incredible that still, you know, so many people manage to, you know, do so many different things. But on the other hand, of course, doing things, you know, institutionally, or, you know, making changes, or, you know, bringing in new ways of doing your job and so on, is a more gradual thing. I mean, you know, doing something individually is easily, you know, easier. You make a decision, you make a plan, and sort of you carry it out. But what among the answers that I have read, for example, it was wonderful to see that in some museums, for example, or in some site management directorates, or as we have seen in the film, in some municipalities, heritage-related offices, a group of people took the course at the same time, or, you know, in nearby time. And then in the answers, I was reading that because they, let's say 4 archaeologists, for example, in a museum did the course, they said that when they were rearranging the storage areas and making it more safer and risk-free and so on, they said they could coordinate so well because they all knew what was important and, you know, what they have been talking about. They all had the same understanding. So there was a bit of cooperation, but as we understand in every aspect of these heritage projects, that networking or becoming aware of people or institutions that are doing similar works that you are doing is always a plus and a very encouraging thing. So there is always room for more networking, more, you know, bringing people together. And yes, we always hoped if there was a chance that we could bring SARAT graduates together, at least in some groups, in some places. Obviously, bringing together thousands of people is not something we can manage, but we thought we could, if we had resources, and who knows, one day we may still do that.
Thank you very much. Ayşegül Yılmaz has a question. Hi, Ayşegül. Thank you very much for the question. With the enormous interest generated, do you anticipate any policy-related developments with regards to the protection of cultural heritage?
I think in time, yes, because many of these people are working in key offices, actually, that are making this kind of decisions. I mean, you know, we had lots of participants from the General Directorate of, you know, Cultural Assets and Museums. We had people from other public administration offices, or, you know, museum directors, etc. So these are the people, you know, becoming aware of things, becoming more conscious, experiencing things. And yes, I think in time, I mean, as I said, these are always gradual things. You know, things do not change from one, you know, day to another. But yes, I am optimistic.
Thank you very much. I don't see any other questions. I'm checking the chat box. I sent the link for the short movie that we have seen, because with Zoom, it's always the quality of the voice was very well, but the sequence was not great. So if you would like to watch it, please do. It's available on the BIAA's website, and the link is here. And the link for this talk is also going to be available on the BIAA's YouTube channel, and you can also follow us on the social media channels of the BIAA, and we are going to make it available. I thank you so much, Gül Hocam, for this wonderful talk. It was my great pleasure to be hosting you as the first cultural heritage-related talk after my assignment as the assistant director. It means a lot. As I was finishing, I see another comment from Ceyla İnmeler. After this course, who is a graduate of ours, as you might remember from the movie that we have just seen. So she says, after this course, I visited Adıyaman and Göbekli Tepe, but I was surprised that the objects were not that huge as documentaries. We have lack of communication with the media. So that was another aspect of SARAT that we tried to tackle. So yeah, we have lack of communication with the media, according to her experience with Adıyaman and Göbekli Tepe.
Well, there is room for more of everything. I mean, SARAT 3 years wasn't a very short time for a project. And, you know, we try to tackle with different aspects of heritage and the areas where we saw a gap that we thought we could, you know, contribute something. So this risk management in cultural heritage was one of those gaps that we focus so much, as I said, you know, partly because of the context in the Middle East, particularly in those years. But yes, there is room for more work for all of us.
Thank you so much. If there are no other questions, I'm going to thank our speaker tonight, and thank you all for your participation and your questions. We hope to see you again soon in another event.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.